shaking, but you're looking good. Inside, you got beat up, and your pride took a bit of flack. You tried hard, worked like a dog, gave your best shot, but you ran out of luck. In flames, down to the ground. Ah, you want a second chance? You got it. Carry on, carry on, carry on. Little sister.
So the main attraction in the village of Tweed would be here at Stokoe Lake. Howard and his family certainly spent many hours swimming and fishing in this lake, and of course skating in the wintertime. Also in the park is the village cenotaph, and that's where the names of the war dead are inscribed. And they unfortunately include a young man that was killed in Afghanistan. Like other villages and towns around here, Tweed has many beautiful Victorian homes. And this is where my grandparents lived in the decade or so before they died. And I have many fond memories from this place. One of the biggest employers in town has been the pallet factory. My grandfather spent time here. I don't know if Howard did, but many people in town did. So it's likely he spent some time there. This is the town's Heritage Museum. Bizarrely, years ago, a Toronto Star newspaper reporter wrote that he believed Elvis lived in Tweed because the people looked dead, so he could blend in. And instead of being offended, the town used it to their advantage, and they've started an Elvis festival, which still runs today. Another of Tweed's claims to fame is North America's smallest jailhouse. I read that there's another smaller in the US, but Tweed still claims that record. The shops probably have changed since Howard lived here, but the overall look of the downtown would certainly have remained the same with these old buildings. The Tweedsmuir Hotel has been a local drinking spot for eons, so no doubt Howard knocked a few back here, probably more than a few from what I hear. Howard would also have spent time swimming at the dam in town, very popular but very dangerous spot for young people to swim. This is the Moira River, which empties into Lake Ontario to the south. Hockey was the big game in town when Howard was growing up. I don't know if this is the original rink or not, but the shape of it makes me believe it probably is. So Howard probably played in this barn, as we call it. Trains used to run through town, and just below this old train bridge was a popular fishing hole. And being steps from where the Longs grew up, Howard would most definitely have fished here. And I certainly know my dad and Bonnie Cairns did. The home in which Howard was born was most likely here in this empty spot, although my father remembers his grandparents living in this house just down the street. And 2 doors down is the home my grandfather built for his family. This is the site where Howard likely went to school when he was young. It was taken down a few years ago, and a new school across the road was built on the site of Tweed High School, where Howard no doubt attended. And this is where lifelong Tweed residents usually end up. You and I have dozens of relatives here, most whom I've never met. This is the grave marker for my grandparents, and just a few stones down is Sue's mom and dad. Her mom died tragically young, only in her mid-40s, 44, I think. And this is the grave marker of your dad's paternal grandfather. Hard to see, but he made the first one himself when his father died. A cousin purchased the newer one decades later, and also buried here are our great-great-grandparents and 2 long infants. The records say that your dad's grandfather was entombed in this creepy vault until the ground had thawed enough to bury him. And certainly one cannot leave Tweed without hitting Canada's favorite coffee chain, Tim Hortons. A large double-double. The nectar of the Canadian gods.